What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another Joust tier list for SMITE 2. And yeah, it's been a minute. Last tier list I think was open beta 21, and we're here in open beta 25, end of the year. So this should stick around for towards the end of this year and beginning of next year, because high res is on a little bit of a break. Now this doesn't go over all of the things that will be coming, because I know there's a nut aspect and a cuckoo aspect, but based on what we know about that and how Joust is played, I can make a reasonable assumption of where they would be once that actually releases. So, you know, it still will cover that. We're not there quite yet, at least when this video goes live, but we'll still go over it. If you guys are new here and don't know what's going on, you see that this is already filled out. This is because this is the previous tier list for open beta 21. So what I like to do is I like to grab the tier list from the last time and then, you know, switch these guys around. Any gods that I think have changed, you know, if they haven't really changed much, then they'll stay here. But you know, get sort of an idea of where they came from last like 4 patches ago and where they're at now, open beta 25. And you can kind of make the comparison there. And we'll do the same thing at the end. We'll compare both of them, compare and contrast. For those who don't understand, tier lists are pretty self-explanatory here with my lingo here. So S plus being broken. These are your gods that you can, you know, carry games with pretty easily and super disgusting. Top picks are going to be with your best of the best. These are guys that are going to outperform any of the other gods below pretty significantly for the most part. Above average and average is probably where most of your gods are going to be at, landing around that place. You know, they're not bad, they're not necessarily OP. They're, you know, either really good or just, you know, average, middle of the way. And then below average is obviously, you know, lack of better words, bad. And so that's basically it. We got some four new gods on the side, and we're gonna go through this rather quickly, or at least try to. At least we'll see how that goes. But I think without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. One thing I actually did realize about this tier list is that we're starting to get to a point where a lot of gods are coming over, and I think I might need to add like a tier here and there, like B minus, B plus, but we'll have to see as more gods make their way in here. But we can start out from the top to bottom. So first up, Sobek. I think Sobek's probably going to always stay here. I don't see why he wouldn't. Nothing has been changed to him. Nothing in the meta of Smite has made him worse or better. If you guys don't know, I mean, he is a fucking, everyone should know this. He's got an execute in his ult for some fucking reason. It's literally just a better Achilles ult. And if you know anything about Achilles, what makes him really good is that he can kill tanks with his execute, and Sobek can do the exact same thing, but all in a circle, and it slows you, and it's super CC heavy. On top of that, everything else that, you know, along with this kit, 1 being great setup or getaway, 2 being really good displacement, 3 being really good anti-heal, damage, tick over time, and healing even. So there's a lot of itemizations like regrowth shredders that work well with him. There's just too many things in this god that made him really good. He was already pretty good in Joust to begin with in Smite 1. Like, he wasn't, you know, OP. Sometimes, a lot of times, there was, you know, metas where he was OP. But then they added an execute, so he's going to stay in S plus broken. Cab is actually not going to be here. He's going down 2 tiers. And this was actually when Cab's aspect came out. So, you know, he was doing mega damage. And I believe when I did that, he literally just got nerfed. So even then, when I, you know, made Kabraktan or put Kabraktan S plus, I didn't necessarily agree with him. But then they nerfed him some more. And even in his non-aspect form, he's, you know, he's still real. I think the non-aspect form is better. If I were to, you know, do aspect, which would take even longer, my god, I'd probably put him in average. But his regular form, it's not as... Cab has always been really good. He's got like high damage. He's super tanky, has a lot of setup, and that's what you really want for a tank in Joust historically and currently, and he has that. But I think he's been a little bit lackluster for the most part. He's still very good, and I can see an argument for like low S, but I'm gonna put him in A plus just because you know, every time I go up against him, he still does Kabraktan things. He's just not as potent as he once was. Eset was still, oh my god, she was so broken. Holy shit. And I still hate going up against this guy. But they nerfed her a lot. They nerfed her a lot. So, oh man, I don't know. She's still so good. So here's what I'll do. I'll put her in low S. We're not ranking it based on what position they are in the tier itself, but if we were, I'd put her at the low end. I can honestly see an argument for A+. I think with all the nerfs that she's gotten to her aspect and regular kit, like she's gotten like 5 nerfs in a row, definitely doesn't make her as broken as she once was. Her CDR changed a lot. It got reduced by a ton. Her damage, her healing, her everything in her kit actually got reduced significantly. But she still is very good. And I think she's in a better spot. I think I don't really know. I'd have to think about it. I don't think she needs another nerf. I think she's okay. I think it's just her kit is really good. And her aspect's very good too. And I think that's what makes her really good in Joust, is because she does damage. Historically, tanks are good with a lot of damage. When they do a lot of damage, they have a lot of setup, stuff like that. Damage and setup is what you really want, along with the tankiness, but you know, that comes with being a tank, building and stuff like that. So I think Issa is still very good. I can see an argument for a high A+, but I'm going to put her in S right now. Hercules is going to stay here too. I mean, not much else to say about him than I said before. He's got extremely good CC immunity, a lot of itemization synergies. His passive gives him a lot of damage. That's what you want in a tank. The relic, the Greaves or whatever, I don't know what the hell they're called. I hate that relic still. That synergizes really well with him too in Joust, so you can get plucks. Super pub stompy and so much setup for you and your team, and does damage. Aphrodite, I'm going to bring down to A+. I think she's fallen off a cliff in my opinion, in regards to what I thought she was before. Now, that's not to say she's not still very good. She still has that synergy with your one other player being able to ult and just save their lives. And on top of that, she heals. She's a very good support, and she does decent damage. Whether you go full support, hybrid, or full damage, I still think she's very solid. You do have to play her specifically. Like, you got to think a lot. There's a lot of things going on. Like, when should you ult? When should you use your 3? You know, you got to hit your abilities. Her abilities aren't easy to hit outside of maybe her 2. Her 3 and her 1's a little bit, you know, you can miss them. They're not, you know, terribly convoluted in terms of what they do, but you can still miss them pretty easily and get dodge her kit basically. But she's still very good support, just not as good as she once was. Her healing isn't as good as it was before after the anti-heal stuff. Princess Barry is always going to stay here. I just have a bias against her. I mean, she got buffed like 3 different times. There's no reasons why she shouldn't be here. I think maybe she's just a little bit harder to play in terms of what abilities synergize, like how you want to use your abilities, whether you want to level up your 1, 2, or 3, you know, how you want to, when you go into her passive in her surge, what abilities should you be throwing out? You know, it all depends on the situation. Her 3 does an absolute absurd amount of damage. The last change she did, I think she's more intelligence based now, with her 3 scaling like 70% off intelligence, like 40 off of strength, or something of that sort. So now I think intelligence is going to be the way that she goes. But even the intelligence build before was really good, because that more or less, you know, highlighted the cooldown based build that you could like spam your ult every single team fight. And that's what really makes her good, is just the ability to do so much damage with her ult and all of her abilities. And her ult literally just saves your entire team. I can't tell you how many times I've, you know, killed someone and Bari ults and saves their team. It's a good thing that not a lot of people play Bari, I think, because she just is harder to play or not as fun. I don't know. Whenever I play Bari, I always smack. I don't really play her that much either, just because I spam the hell out of her in Ranked Conquest, and she's kind of boring to me now. But she is so good. Apollo, I'm going to bring down to A+. I think he's still a very good pick. I don't think that what made him extraordinarily good in previously was Eros Bow. Well, they gutted a lot of the healing items, on top of the fact that Apollo previously did an absurd amount of damage in his aspect form. I still think he does a lot of damage and has a lot of setup and has a lot of support capabilities you know, his ult being able to just go across the map, all that stuff. And arrow spell still works, just not as it was before, is kind of what I'm saying. And I still think that he's very good, but similar to a lot of these other gods, I'm probably going to put top A+. Still very good, just the reason why they were up here, in my opinion, no longer pertains. Medusa's going to stay up here too. She recently got a buff, and actually her build's kind of pivoting, which is something I like, because it's sort of how she was built in the latter half of SMITE 1, or not latter half, towards the end of SMITE 1, which was full damage. She's building full damage. They've changed a lot of her kit to where she's just doing more damage. Her ult comes up a lot quicker. I think her 2 does more damage. I don't remember how they buffed her slowly but surely over the past few patches, and I think she's definitely very good full damage. And honestly, the AA build is still very good for her too. I think she's gonna stay up here in the S tier top pick. Xbalanque, I still think is very good. Do I keep him in S though? He's still so good. Yeah, I think I am gonna keep him here. Yeah, I'm like, again, I'm gonna put him in towards the lower end if that was hypothetically a thing. I could definitely see him make an argument for top of A+, with all the nerfs and stuff that's happened to him, especially after a nerf that I didn't think he necessarily needed, but still got. In both kind of builds, he still does really good. I can't tell you how annoying it is to see a full damage aspect intelligence Xbalanque. It is so annoying to see, just because of how brain dead it is. It's not as brain dead as it once was, where you were literally just getting one-shotted by, using his 2, ult 2, Mirrodin 2. That brain dead stuff has gone, but it's still sort of brain dead in my opinion. But even in his AA form, with all the itemization that he can go with the attack speed and stuff like that, I think he's still going to be one of your better hunters, and in my opinion, low S tier, in my opinion. Agni, Lee, man, I think Agni's still S pick. He's like one of those mages that I would go if I wanted to be safe while also doing a shitload of damage. And he's never really changed from that. And on top of that, his aspect is still very good. His aspect beats out his DPS in his regular form, even after the nerfs, in my opinion. He's still very good, and I think if you want to, the only kind of thing that I would think absolutely fucks him are gods like Odin and Kabrakan and Ymir. However, Shell exists, so please, if you're the support, build Shell, for the love of God. Somebody needs to build Shell. I hate how often I don't see, I sometimes fall victim to it, but for the most part, I almost always buy Shell if I see, like, we have an Agni, or we're going up against, like, a Yamoja, or a Kabrakan, or an Odin. I'm immediately buying Shell. And even Ymir sometimes. Not as necessary, but still very good to think about, at least. And so that's the only thing that really fucks him, in my opinion. He doesn't have CC immunity, that too, so, I mean, I guess technically gods like Daji can fuck him as well. But, team beads exist, so I think he's still going to be top as one of your best mages still. Baron, oh my god, man, Baron. Dude, I was on the Baron train way before anyone else was. And they've been trying to nerf. They nerfed him a little bit, I believe, in his aspect. And they not really nerfed, but they switched things up. Because even in his aspect form, people were still going to support. Still are, actually. Baron. He is absolutely disgusting. He's probably your best mage. If I had to pick where he was at, I'd be top S. In my opinion, I could see him in S+ tier. I'm not going to put him there because of the nerfs, and he still is counterable. But my god, does he do so much damage. Every time I see a Baron, I'm like, oh my god. Because both of his forms are absolutely ridiculous. His aspect form, going full damage, hybrid, or even tank is still so good. With Lifebinder still being a good item, along with other items that he synergizes well with. My god, if they have 2 magical enemies on the other team and you're playing Baron and you go that one item, I can't remember, Baubles, or it's not called Baubles, but Sphinx, no, I'm thinking of Smite 1 or what it was before. I can't think of items. The one that gives you magical shield every like 15 seconds or something, or every 5 seconds, and maxes up to like 15% of your health or something. Either way, he has a lot of items that he could go synergize really well with. In his aspect, can go full damage and absolutely destroys. I've gotten hit by his one for like 1200. You know, all things with this hysteria and all the itemizations that he built, all the items that he built. I was like, what is this? And his one was up in like 6 seconds. I'm just like, I can't fight this guy. Oh my god. And you know, if you're a really good Baron, you can absolutely carry games. You can do top damage as full tank Baron, which is absolutely wild. He's so tanky. His kit synergizes so well with every single item. He's so good right now, and you should be playing him if you want to win games. But if you want to have fun and not, you know, kill the enemy team, don't pick Baron. My god, he's annoying. Ares, I'm gonna leave him here too. I think Ares is very good in Joust still too. His ult obviously is always going to be there, omnipresent bead catcher or just team setup if they end up not having beads. But his damage and his ability to be the anti-meta, as a lot of gods, a lot of meta, in my opinion, a lot of meta gods up here get countered by Ares. The only thing that I would say that's hard about him is positioning, because he doesn't have a getaway, but he does damage. He has great setup. Let me clarify. Not only does he do good damage, he can one-shot as a full tank if you play your cards right. His CC is really good. His team synergy is obviously really good. He has a lot of HP5, MP5, all that good stuff. The only thing that's bad about him is the fact that he doesn't have a proper getaway, which he can be taken advantage of if you don't position right. But CC immune, all this other good stuff. He's just a really good. He's always going to be there, and he counters a lot of gods up here. Look at all these gods. You think he counters Hercules, Bari, Medusa, Agni, Odin, anyone who has a leap or potential to try to get away. He just, you know, snatches them. Hou Yi, you know, he's a very good counter to the meta, in my opinion. Odin, another good. Another god that kind of counters the meta currently right now because of anti-heal. His ult, remember, has 100% anti-heal, so you can counter a lot of the healing that, you know, might be cancer, whether it's self-healing or just like regular healing, like E said after, all that good stuff. And on top of that, he does a lot of damage, good getaway, has great team ult. I'd still keep him here in S pick. I think he's probably one of your better. I'd probably put him in low. I could see like a plus. Actually, I'm gonna put him in A+. I think he's like an honorable mention to the S+ pick, in my opinion. I could definitely see him being low S, but I'll put him in A+. I still think he's very good. Does a lot of damage and stuff like that. Pretty safe pick as well with his 2, all that good stuff. Hou Yi, I think, is probably one of your best hunters, top 3 hunters in Joust. His DPS is wild. His 3 is probably the best getaway out of any hunter you could play. He literally just goes up into the sky and jumps away in any direction he wants. So, you know, not many gods can do that. His ult, great team fight. Like I said, there's a lot of damage. Bounces and stuff like that, you don't have to be skilled at all. You can literally just throw out bounces if, you know, you play your cards. You don't just bounce and try to hit every single god all the time, but, you know, pick and choosing bounces like when you're at a tower and stuff like that can be very good. He's probably one of your best hunters. Scylla standing up here too in both forms, very similar to Baron. She's actually does an absurd amount of damage in both forms. I honestly lean myself towards the Scylla aspect form, just going full tank mana build. You're able to do so much damage while also being tanky, while also having a lot of cooldown. She's very similar to Baron, can get top damage building full tank. And then like the regular Scylla, I think Scylla build, like with your full damage, I think is still one of your top mages, doing so much damage, super safe, CC immune ult, you know, synergizes well with the team. So obviously one of your best mages here. Achilles, one of your better warriors too. He's still going to be here. A lot of these gods that are up here don't really change much, just because they're so good in Joust that they'd have to do something significant to change, whether it's another god or these gods that they're, you know, nerfing or buffing. Achilles again has so much damage, has great getaway with his ult and his 3. super tanky, stuff like that. And then obviously the execute that makes him extraordinarily good. Very similar to Sobek, except you actually have to aim with Achilles, unlike Sobek. So there is some potential there to get to mess up, but he can just literally 1v3 sometimes. His healing in his 2, all that stuff. So I'd put him one of your better top warriors in my opinion. Vulcan's gonna go down, I think, a little bit. I still think he's top A plus, and I can again make an argument for S depending on, you know, who's playing, what the team comp is, and stuff like that. However, I'm as more gods are getting released, and I said this before, there's a lot more counters going on here. And again, Vulcan doesn't have the greatest getaway. He has a lot of attack speed, movement speed, and his 1 a little bit. You know, his 1 can't really get crippled, stuff like that. But, you know, a god like Artio will just run him down. A god like Osiris will just run him down. So that, you know, all these new gods that are coming, Daji. I mean, Daji isn't going to be picked much, but God forbid if she does, hopefully she's bad, because if she just ults you on cooldown, you're kind of cooked. Your team would have to buy beads. You'd have to like make yourself, because it doesn't have a CC immune ult, you'd have to make yourself, you have to figure out a build to counter that. So there's a lot more things. Sylvanas, you know. But however, he still does an absurd amount of damage, and depending on the team comp, he can absolutely frag still. So I would put him in top or low S in my opinion, depending on the team comp. But generally speaking, I think he's a little bit worse just because other gods are coming into the picture. I think that's everything for S. Let's go ahead. Let me make sure, because I've messed up this before. Yeah, we talked about Iset, Shablanke. Bellona, I know she got nerfed. I still think she's pretty good, even after the nerfs and item nerfs. She's still kind of built the same way. Instead of building, it's actually better for Joust anyways. And that they changed Devo's Gauntlet, because you don't have to get the stacks. Now you can just go into the Reaper, which gives you 60, which I think they need to I think they may need to nerf that item a little bit. But you go Reaper, Sanguine, Umbral Link, and you're just chilling. I think I might make a video on that too, because that's a really good build as well. And I think that she really uses that well. So I'll keep her an A plus. Same with Soul, nothing changed with her. She both forms AA or full damage. She still can smack really well. Her 3, if you use it correctly, it can absolutely be you know, game changing. Her ult is CC immunity. She has basically everything you'd want in both forms. Cupid, same thing. Great team ult, pretty decent getaway. I think the getaway is what kind of cucks him a little bit, because it can be interrupted. Certain gods can counter it, like Fenrir. And he doesn't have a CC immune ult, but overall still very good, does a lot of damage, and great team. Merlin, very similar, does an absurd amount of damage once you get to late game. Doesn't have a CC immune ult, so it kind of sucks a little bit and can be countered. His 3, you have to play him specifically, like carefully, and with positioning in mind. If you have great positioning and you play Merlin, you can win almost every single game. I think he, like a god like Uller, if you can do the certain thing in his kit that makes him very good, exceptionally good, that other people, you know, can't really do. So just like positioning with Merlin, and knowing when to use your abilities, knowing your damage spikes and stuff like that, and matchups, of course. He can absolutely destroy almost any lobby, in my opinion. You just have to do that. But because not a lot of people do that, I'm still going to put him in A plus. It's dependent on skill with him, and very similar with Uller. You actually have to hit your abilities. If you don't hit your abilities, he sucks. So, you know, he's got a good getaway and everything like that. Doesn't have CC immunity, but if you can focus on hitting his abilities and a little bit of positioning, knowing when to go in, when to not go in, you can easily, this god's easily S tier, in my opinion. But I'm not, because a lot of people don't, I feel like a broken record, not a lot of people don't play him at that standard. Mordred's kind of brain dead, so he's going to be an A plus. Not much change with him. I think he's a little bit less good as he was in Smite or in Open Beta 21, but not much. I don't really see him a lot, but when I do see him, you know, have to play accordingly to him, because he can literally box anyone. If you're out of position and a Mordred's there, you're not going to most likely be able to box him, unless he's just exceptionally down in levels or has a bad build or something. Mordred's going to be able to box you, so you got to be really careful about that and still keep him an A plus. Neath, nothing changes with Neath. Full damage, Neath's still gonna absolutely smack, super safe. Pretty much your go-to god to always play in, really, if you want to. Aladdin. Oh, this is a good one. So I've been playing a lot of Aladdin before and after the rework, the soft rework he had, where they changed this 3 to where now it's not a knock up, it's a knock back, making his, you know, his synergy in his kit a little bit less fluid. His one does more damage. His ult can now kill. Now when you're in your ult, you no longer heal each other for the percentage base whenever you land that lamp. Now it's a shield, which actually, pointing on that before I move into the rest of his kit that changed, shield splitter is actually really good on him, because one thing that you can do, honestly, or obviously, is when you ult someone, if you're low or something, or they're, you know, you don't have a lot of health, whatever, you go inside the lamp, you use your shield splitter right away as they come in, steal their shield, and then now they're basically, they don't really have a shield anymore. Now it's just a 1v1 with barely any, you know, the same exact health that they had before they were lamped. And I think that strength-based Aladdin is a tiny bit better than intelligence, in my opinion. His 2, I think they increased his strength scaling, I believe, or maybe I don't remember. Either way, shield splitter is very good on him. So that's a cool little tech thing you could do with him. Other than that, they changed his wish to now, and it's not 2, it's 1 wish, which makes him far less good. I mean, they made it to where his wish now is very similar to a Spear of Desolation, to where if you get a kill or an assist, I think it decreases the time for the wish to come back up. You know, you get it back quicker, basically, similar to like a Spear of Desolation. So I mean, he still plays the same. He can still dominate and do all that good stuff. So I kind of want to keep him here, but I'm gonna put him high. The thing is like, I like to compare the gods that I've put in here with. Is he really on the same level as like a Odin? Is he really on the same level as like a Mordred? And then if I go down here, it's like, is he really on the same level as Fenrir? No, surely not. So I think I'm gonna keep him A+, low A+. He's like in between A+ and A. I think he's a little bit worse, but again, you can still do things with Aladdin. He still can dominate. He still has all his wishes. You can still do a lot of things. I think he's just, what they tried to do was make him not as skill dependent, and I think they failed on that, because I still think that most gods, or most people who play Aladdin, there's still gonna be that super high skill gap. If you're really good on Aladdin, you're gonna absolutely destroy games. If you're not as good on Aladdin, you're not, you know, whatever, you're gonna absolutely shit the bed like every single time. And I think they were trying to mediate that, and maybe they did it slightly, but like still, I don't think it's enough to where most people can play this god now. No, he's still got that skill gap. I think he's a little bit worse in my opinion, but still can do things. Hecate, I'm gonna keep her here, very similar to like Ra and Kukulkan. Actually, I'm gonna talk about him in a second. Hecate still does her thing. She, you know, ults very safe. You can outplay a lot, does a lot of damage, throws damage out from afar. Very same old stuff. You got to be careful with her positioning though, because she literally has no escape. And she doesn't have a CC immune ult, so you gotta be careful about that. But you can use your ult to get away in a way. So, you know, it's a little bit of a high skill ceiling with her too. Ra, I'm going to keep him in an A+. He's been very good, aspect and non-aspect. Obviously, aspect, you want to go more tanky and healing oriented for your team. And then regular Ra, you're going full damage, and he just kind of is that, you know, general mage that can go like any game and he'll be good. CC immune ult, great wave clear, great damage, good setup. You know, stuff like that. Cuckoo, I'm actually going to bring down to A. I'm going to be honest, I think Ra, I could see low A+, high A. I just don't think he's all that great. Like, I think whenever I see a Cuckoo, I'm just like, why not just go Ra or something? Why not just go someone else? He's got great wave clear. His 1 does pretty decent damage. His ult is obviously really good damage. I swear to God, maybe it's a skill thing. Every single time I've had a Cuckoo on my team, they have always missed their ult. I don't think I've seen a Cuckoo hit their ult ever. I don't know what it is about Smite 2. Maybe he's just harder. Even in Conquest, nobody hits the Cuckoo ult. I'm just like, gee, what is happening? Now again, it could just be this might just be a bias for me. He still might, I still think that he's an argument for A+, but it just seems like Raw is a little bit easier than Cuckoo. I mean, Raw ult is so much easier to hit, seemingly. The time to cast his ult is a little bit quicker. It's a little bit harder to gauge sometimes. I mean, you can still obviously pretty easily juke Raw ult, but sometimes if you're a Raw and you know they're gonna juke, you're gonna go to that position and predict the juke, and you still kill them. You can still do that with Cuckoo, but it's a little bit harder with the sound cue and the time to cast and everything. So I don't know. I think he's not as great right now, and in regards to his aspect, I don't think his aspect's gonna be that great either for Joust, just based on how it's played. He's going to be NATOing himself. He's going to be playing like an assassin. His 2 is a dash, I guess. So, I mean, you could probably throw your 3 on yourself, dash forward 1, and maybe, but you don't have a CC immune ult. You're still, you know, these things, I think, you know, I don't think he's going to be as good. A lot of traditional assassins in Conquest don't really do well in Joust, as a lot of you probably seen. I mean, most of the assassins down here, like a Wheelix, Susanoo Thana, Mercury, Tsukiyomi, they're just not, they're not built for Joust, farm, and gank, because it's a one lane thing. So I think that's going to be similar to Cuckoo, so I'm going to put him in A. Sorry, Cuckoo mains. Bacchus, going to stay here. I don't think he's ever going to change. Like I said, great damage, it's a great setup, great getaway, anything you want as a tank. Chalk will probably stay here too. Very similar to Bacchus. Really good damage, low cooldown, really good ult, CC immune ult, and he's just all around good mage. Really good mage, or rage mage. Really good warrior slash solo laner. I don't. Really good solo tank. I don't know what you call this anymore. Zeus, I'm going to bring down to A. I think again, with a lot of these gods, we're getting into the picture, you know, they just take advantage of Zeus's low mobility. He has some movement speed in his 2. His ult isn't CC immune, so he doesn't have any CC immunity. What he has is a lot of damage, and if you position well, you can do things, but he's just going to get destroyed every single time with all these new gods and stuff like that. So all these guys are also very good too, are getting good. So I think he's going to be A. And I think he's probably long overdue in A, in my opinion. I still think he can do a lot of damage and is very good, but it's getting harder and harder as every god is joining the battleground. Kali's going to stay here too. This is specifically for her aspect. Her regular build is, or her regular assassin is probably B. You only want to go aspect on her because she turns into an ADC, and again, ADCs are very good in Joust. And I think Kali probably has one of the highest DPSs in SMITE 2 in regards to ADCs. So she's going to be staying here. Danza, if there was a fun tier list, oh my god, Danza would be S, because not his regular build, fuck the carry build. That build is boring. Not to say it's bad, but it's boring. His int, or full strength damage build, I like to go full int, is correct. Oh my god, it's so much fun. Every time I play it in Joust, I have so much fun. With that being said, though, side tangent aside, he's still very good. I think the end build is the way to go. Being able to one shot is crazy. If you've ever been up against a Danza that's full damage and you know they're full damage and it's like late game and you hear the rocket, you're like, oh fuck. If you don't have your Aegis or anything to prevent it, you're like, ah, oh, shit, I'm about to get hit for a fucking 1,000 damage. And when he comes out of that fucking rocket, he's gonna throw out his one auto. Yeah, I love this god. He's so much fun. I don't think I've had as much fun with a lot of gods in Smite 2 that I've had in Smite 1. Gods like Hercules, Danza, it's just I never played in Smite 1, but with Smite 2, they made it so much more fun, and he's one of them. Regardless, I think he's still A+. He's still got the CC immune ult, really good damage, and stuff like that. Play Danza, he's fun. Thor is really good in his aspect. They buffed his aspect, I believe. He does even more damage, or I think they buffed him in his regular form, I think it transfers over to his aspect or something like that. Either way, Thor got a buff. I don't remember which one what it was. I think it was more damage in his... I'm not going to say it. Read the patch notes. I don't remember what it was. I just know he got a buff recently. But yeah, he does a lot of damage in his aspect, healing. Good ult initiate, CC immune ult. He's actually got knock up immuneness 3. He does a lot of damage while also being tanky. Has great getaway. So he's really good. Hunbats is also pretty good too. They nerfed his aspect, but I think his aspect's still very good in Joust. You don't really see him a lot. Probably put him at low A+, but his ult still does good. Not as it once was, and never will go back to those days. And back in those days, I think he was a lot better. Top S, in my opinion, but they gutted him a little bit, but he's still pretty good. Still does a lot of damage. Has a lot of synergy in team fights if you go aspect. Hybrid-based Hunbats is probably a better way to go just for your team to be able to do some damage, survive, and just be an absolute menace. Ganesh is going to stay here too. This is specifically for his regular form. I think his aspect has a time and place for it, but not in every single team or in every team comp. But his regular form, I think, has a time and place for almost every team comp. So specifically talking about his regular form. Again, he's a sort of anti-meta counter because he just stops people from using their abilities, and his ult does a lot of damage. He has really good setup. But he, I don't think he's nearly as good as like Ares or something like that. But still very good and can counter a lot of gods. Artemis. I think Artemis is good. I think I'm gonna put her lower A+. I think she's gonna slowly jump out of the meta once more gods come. I'm slowly thinking that she might be... I could see an argument for high A. Because again, she has a CC immune ult, which is nice, but she doesn't have a mobility very similar to Zeus. She has a movement speed in her too, but that's basically it. I think she's better than Zeus because she has a CC immune ult, and she does a lot of damage, but she's slowly becoming not as good. Yamoja, this is specific for aspect, and actually her support is really good too. If you play her enough and get the reps in with her, she can be very, very good in her support, throwing out your ult and your 3 and countering them, stuff like that. She does a lot of damage even in her support build too, with like Lifebinder, shit like that. Again though, Shell exists, so that sucks, and it's not hard to get Shell, so you can just kind of walk out of her ult pretty much. So you have to worry about that. Onto her aspect though. Her aspect does an absurd amount of damage. Now in Conquest, I would agree she's not very good. However, in Joust, where you're all clumped together, you're almost always gonna spread her to the other gods around you. And if you've seen some of my Yamoja clips and videos, you can see what I mean. She does a lot of damage. Being able to build Spirit Desolation, Chronos, all that, Totem of Death, whatever. She can do an absurd amount of damage. And if you proc your Spirit Desolation and get all your Oni back, yeah, you can do ridiculous amounts of damage. So I'll put her in A+. She's not quite S because she still can get picked. She doesn't have CC immune ult, but if you position well with her and you go into the right team comp, she can absolutely carry and smash games. On her, honestly, dude, I think on her is back to where he was. I think he's gotten like 3 or 4 buffs, and these were pretty significant buffs. His ult got a lot more damage. That was a little bit ago. I think he got more damage in his 2 or his 1. Actually, we can go, this is a good one to look at real quick. All right, so this is Open Beta 25, the most recent one. Shifting Sands, increased damage, taken debuff from 8 to 20 to 12 to 24, so like an extra 4% damage increase. His 3, no, it was his 3 that got strength scaling increased by 15. I think his 3 is a little bit quicker too as well. So, I mean, that's just one buff real quick. Let's move on to the next one. So this is the other one. This was Open Beta 23. His build-up time decreased, so the build-up to throw out his animations quicker. Increased leap tween time. This ensures the animation will look like it lands at the correct time due to build-up change. So that's a slight buff as well, I believe. Yeah. And then finally we had this buff where it was increased damage per tick from 65 to 165 to 80 to 200. So each tick doing so much more damage. And then finally in his ult, he does, or the last final, final damage, he does increase to 25 damage. So honestly, I could see an argument for high A+, but for right now, I think on her is pretty good and pretty sleeper. Again, he's a little bit harder to play, I think. You got to hit your 2 and your ults. He's very easy to dodge, in my opinion. But if you position right and you use your abilities right, you can do so much with him. So I think he's low S, top A+, in my opinion. He's getting good. I think people might start realizing he's getting good now. A lot better, at least. Nemesis, I think after the recent nerfs she's gotten to her aspect, I don't think she's as good. I could definitely see low A+, but I'm gonna put her in A just because she's not as much as a menace as she once was, in my opinion. She doesn't have as much aura, if you will, because of her aspect changes. Xingwei, I'm gonna bring down to top A as well. I think she was a lot better. She was really good in Conquest for the reasons that she's able to with like the crit builds and stuff like that, but it sort of lingered over to Joust in my opinion, but not as favorably as I thought it would. So I'm gonna bring her down to A again. Again, she can come back to lane and everything, but crit and everything's just not really good in Joust when you can literally just buy Spectral for your whole team and your team's always gonna be near you. So Hua Mulan is going to be top of A+. I can see an argument for S, but I think that she's in a good place right now at like the A+, where she does really good. I'd say middle A+, in my opinion, if I were to really put it like that, which I'm not. But, that's just to give an idea of where I think she might be at. Sorry. Again, she does a lot of damage. I think she got nerfed recently. I don't remember much anymore, to be honest, because she's gotten buffed, nerfed, and everything in her kit. She had like a huge buff at one point, and then she was like top of the meta, then she got nerfed again. But the nerf wasn't like crazy, so she's still very good. A very good warrior, probably top 5 warriors in my opinion. So that's where I'd probably put her. Loki is going to stay in A+. He actually got a buff too. I'd slightly put him up ahead, a little bit above. I think he can, the aspect version, not his regular. His regular is dog water and Joust, in my opinion. Aspect Loki is a menace because he does similar damage to regular Loki, a little bit less, obviously, without the procs and stuff that he would normally go in his regular build, like Crusher and stuff like that. He goes full tank. He gets, obviously, mitigations in his 2. He doesn't die, and he's really good setup. So he's basically like a warrior and plays like a warrior and builds like a warrior, and you have good damage, pretty decent setup, good poke and stuff with his 2. That's pretty good for in like a warrior type playstyle for Joust. So I think he's getting better. He's getting pretty good. Loki's not a troll pick anymore, that's what I'll say. Jormungandr, I think, is still going to stay A+. I don't think too much has changed with him outside of the interaction with him and the relic, the feather relic. I can't remember the name of, but now you can't really use the same interaction to be able to like proc your autos all the time and use that relic, get close to them again and proc your autos again. So now it's, they changed that, so I think that made him slightly worse, but other than that, he's pretty much the same. Pretty solid god, nothing crazy about him. Osiris, I think, with his nerfs, I think he's still gonna be in the same place. I think what I might have done was underestimated how good he was until they nerfed him a little bit. I still think he's very good. Like, I put him probably top of A+ with his intelligence aspect build. I think he's still one of your better warriors, in my opinion, being able to just box anyone, very similar to like Mordred and stuff like that, with all his pressure and damage. You can still go that Helm of Radiance, Lifebinder aspect build, and it still smacks. I just don't think it smacks as much as it did in Conquest. And again, like I said, I think I underrated him a little bit from last patch. Sun Wukong hasn't changed much. Middle of the road. I think he's always going to be that very good. I don't mean middle of the road, meaning like mid, he's just average, but like he's just going to be a very good in every single team comp poke kind of a warrior that does a lot of good things, has a lot of mobility, can get in and out, do a lot of damage, and then run. Already talked about Aladdin, Hunbats, and Artemis. All right, on to A. Anubis is going to stay here too. Again, very similar to these other gods that are in here. He's slowly becoming a non-factor as he was in Smite 1. Again, a lot of these gods that are they're increasing the god pool, so I think a lot of the god pool counted a lot of the other gods, and without them being in Smite 2 yet, means that, you know, they can kind of free roam and do other things. On top of the fact that, you know, high res increased, you know, +1s, items, different stuff like that. New gods, whatever. But I think Anubis just gets stomped for the most part. You can still pub stomp him and do a lot of damage, but I mean, most gods are going to be able to counter him. Osiris is like a 1-to-1 counter in my opinion, like regular Osiris. Even Raspect Osiris too. I mean, Sylvanas, and there's Ardio. There's just so many things that can just like fuck with him and not be able to do his job. Ymir actually, man, I think he's top A, low A+. I think you got to play specifically with him because he can die very easily. Again, the +1 where you have his wall to like push him away is very good and makes him a lot better in Smite 2 than Smite 1. He does a decent amount of damage. Great setup with his stun. Feels like one of the longest stuns in the game. Pretty good ult. You can get stuff done, so I can see an argument for low A+, but he is a little bit harder to play, so I'm gonna put him in top of A in my opinion. And when I mean harder to play, I mean like his positioning. Like he can get caught out pretty easily if you don't play it correctly. Fenrir is still going to be here. I think he's niche counter right now. He can just, I think his AA build is better, and right now, or a lot of the times in JOUST, CC is the way, and you can't really auto when you're CC'd to high hell. So I don't think that, you know, playstyle really works with him. His regular build with just like tank and stuff is just not good at all in my opinion. Even with his aspect, even though if he were to do that, I would go aspect instead of regular Fenrir, but that's besides the point. He can still counter a lot of gods with his ult and his 3, you know, going up against Cupid, Rama, stuff like that. Gods that can, you know, he can counter. But there are far more counters to Fenrir and a lot of other gods that do his job better than him. Rama, yeah, I gotta put Rama. I'm gonna always go back and forth with Rama and A+ and A, because I can't put Rama below Artemis. I think Rama is probably better than Artemis in my opinion. So I'd probably put him, like, realistically I put him a little bit above, but yeah, I think Rama, I think he's better than what people give him. I always say the same thing. He's got a CC immune ult and he's up there for like 5-6 seconds or something like that, and then he can come down and hopefully your team has come here, or you can 3 away. It just gives you a little bit of leeway, and his ult does a lot of damage. It's easier to hit, and autoing is the way. He's a pretty good hunter too. So I'm gonna put him in A+, I think. Gab's gonna go up too, but that's specifically for his aspect. His aspect is really fun. I don't think it's OP by any stretch of the imagination. It is pretty good once you get the build online. I won't lie. But again, he still has the Geb problem where like he can still get caught out. If you get like CC'd and everything, I mean, you have your ult to knock them away, which is nice. But if they're still on you, I mean, there's not much you can do. I mean, like, you can use your 1 to get away, but that can be blocked very easily. I still think he's very good though. I'm gonna put him in A+ with his aspect. It's a little bit to get used to, but his aspect does a lot of damage. I will say it does a lot of damage once it gets fully online. Cerberus, I gotta bring down to B, dude. This god sucks. I don't know what happened. I almost want to keep him in A because I think he's a little bit better in JOUST than he is in Conquest. I just don't like this god. He does decent damage, but it's nothing crazy. I feel like in every avenue, when you think about Cerberus, every other god that is really good right now does what he does better. Like, ESET is literally just a better Cerberus, in my opinion. Minus the ult. I mean, the ult, there's so many more ways to use displacement now. I mean, like, Medusa's 3, well, Medusa's 3 has always been sort of like knock-up immune, but I mean, I don't know. His ult just seems like a non-factor. His damage is very easily countered. He's not very tanky. Tanks aren't doing the greatest right now, so like he just gets blown up. I mean, he's got good getaway, good CC immunity, stuff like that, and decent damage. He should be better, but he's just not doing all that. So I don't know. I think they need to change a lot of his numbers, and they haven't in a while. Amortosh is going to stay here as well. I think Bologna currently is just a better Ama. I think they flip-flop depending on which is good, or depending on what the meta is, because Bologna can go full tank or hybrid and not worry about attack speed. Whereas Amma sort of can do that too, but not at the same level as Bologna. And currently that build that Bologna goes, the Reaper, Sanguine, Umbral, or similar builds to that, building like one shifter shield, or Berserker shield. Amma can't do that as well in my opinion. Amma is strictly like more of a auto attack based. So when like auto attack is the meta, I think Amma is probably a little bit better than Bologna. They're very similar in the way they play, but their kits are, you know, different obviously in a lot of many ways. But currently I think Bologna's just better than Amma right now, so I'm put her in A. The Morgan, I gotta keep her in A as well. She's super hard to play, and a lot of people play her. She's probably one of the hardest gods to play just because of how many things you gotta think about. So I'm gonna keep her in A. Izanami, very easy to track down. I mean, there's really nothing much about her, dude. And her ult's fine, I guess. She does a decent amount of damage, but she can just get caught out and very easy to kill. It's no CC me and ult. Like, she's just kind of not great. Nuwa, similarly as well. Nothing's really changed with her either. You can go the same kind of builds with her in regular form aspect. Nothing's really changed with her. Her ult, still get away. You know, very easy to track down again. Just the control over. Kefri too. He's a little bit better than Smite 1, obviously, like I said before. Does more damage, but again, doesn't do quite enough damage. He's basically like a conquest god, or like a conquest god in that like he just ults them. That's annoying. If you're a good Kefri and you ult the enemy or your god, you know, whatever. You can be very good there, but other than that, that's about it. Cernanos, I think every other god in this game, every other hunter does what he does better. Like, he doesn't have a CC me and ult. His ult's pretty easy to dodge for the most part. It just feels like there's so many other hunters that are just better. Don't get me started on his aspect either. It sucks. Poseidon can be good sometimes in a good team comp, but other than that, not really. His 3 ult's pretty good, but again, he doesn't have a CC me and ult. He doesn't have really good getaway. He's very similar to Zeus in that way as well. Hades, I think they need to change his numbers or change his kit because his damage is not all that great. You'd think he'd be very good with his ult, you know, being able to grab people, but no, not really. A good Hades will be better at that and get some more kills, but other than that, he's just you 2 and you 3, and that's about it. And it doesn't do that much damage. Pele, I think, is fine. Not really great. This is specifically for her aspect. Again, it just feels like all these other gods up here do what she does better. If you are going to go Pele, I think you go aspect just to build a little bit more tankiness to survive and stuff like that. Athena's actually been pretty decent. I probably put her top A, almost A+, just because her CC is absurd. It's always been absurd, but they've changed a decent amount of her kit to facilitate her better. Again, though, I just think she's going to not do all that great just because, again, she doesn't do much damage. If your team dies, you're not doing shit. Yanis, super hard mage to play, super hard god to play. His ult is very good, stuff like that, being able to portal right correctly and stuff, you know, stuff like that. But he can be very easily traced down even with all the portals. The map is not very big. All the gods that are really good in Joust will just follow you down. On top of that, he just, you know, his damage is good. It just, he throws out his 2, his 1-2, and that's it. So, you know, if you're a really good Yanis, you can make things work. But if, you know, you're not, then he's he can get stuff done, but nothing crazy. Tsukiyomi, don't go as aspect. They recently buffed it, so it might be a little bit better, but I don't think it's as good. He gets in there and he dies, basically, is what that is. He can go a little bit tankier and hybrid, which I think is okay, but still gonna be in the same level, same kind of feel as regular Tsukiyomi with his regular full damage build. He gets in there and dies in regular Conquest, and in Joust, sometimes he doesn't even get the kill, he just fucking dies. So very easy to kill, in my opinion. Mercury, I always say that the tank Mercury is there, but not a lot of people play it. But I am going to put it in A because I think you can still do things with tank Mercury. It still can be good. You just got to play it correctly. You got to, you know, you have to play Smite a whole lot differently because, you know, you can't go regular build, you'll just get blown up. Because he doesn't have a lot of CC immunity, he can be disrupted pretty easily, and his ult, you know, stuff like that. Guan Yu's probably another god that It's not good at all right now. Very similar to Cerberus. You can get like a cool, cheeky intelligence healing build with him in his aspect, but as like a support. But other than that, it literally just, I played up against it and I played with it. It literally just stalls the game because that's all he does. He doesn't heal or do anything. You're just banking on your team being able to do stuff because he doesn't do much either. You can ult 3 and 2, all that stuff, but like, I don't know. It just feels like he doesn't do much. So he's gonna stay in B in my opinion. Thana's not very good either for obvious reasons. Ulting in, not being able to do enough damage. He just gets blown up. You get caught out, you're dead. Susano, he's got really good mobility, but again, he's more of a jungler in Conquest. One of the best junglers in Conquest, but one of the worst assassins in Joust in my opinion. You're not gonna be able to gank much. He does a lot of damage and stuff like that, but again, he'll just get CC'd to death because he has no CC immunity and stuff like that. Awilix, again, is going to be a counter pick. I don't think she does much of anything either. You got to get up and close, and you're just going to get CC'd to death as well. Unless you're going up against a god that has like a mobility thing like Hoi or Scylla. Not very good to play. And that's it. But we still got 4 more gods to go. So starting with Ardeo, where is she gonna go? Where is she gonna go? Where is she gonna go? She's either A+ or S for sure. She's very good right now, in her aspect and non-aspect. I guess I could talk about her real quick before I put her in a place. I don't know. So her aspect in her druid form, I would not go the bear form in her aspect in Joust. It's just not as good in my opinion. Her druid is more of a support-based kind of playstyle, and she heals so much. My God. She does so much healing. She does a lot of spamming with her, builds, building cooldown, healing based, like yogis, regrowth, other cooldown items like Freya's Tears, stuff like that. She's quite annoying because there's no anti-heal in the game, and she heals off of her 3 and her 1. So her druid form is one of the best in the game. And in her regular form is one of the best in the game too. She's basically just like a bruiser warrior, and she does so much. I think the 2 forms are neck and neck in my opinion. Where do I put her? I think I put her. Man, I think I gotta put her S right now. I think she does so much right now. Oh man. Ooh, top of A+. Okay, so obviously I can say that I can see an argument for top or low S, top A+. I think I'll put her A+. Just to mediate, because you can still kill her. It's just gonna take a fucking while. So with and not anti-heal in the game, it's a lot harder to kill her and her team because they buff her 1, stuff like that. So I'll put her in A+, but everything I said about her, she's so good. Daji, I'm gonna put an average mid just because she does have some niche picks. She can 3 in and out. She can now use wards to TP away, which is a good fact to know. You can throw a ward over the wall and just 3 away. It's pretty good tech. Other than that, she still gets caught if you're trying to kill a god. You're trying to one-shot gods or stuff like that. She still does die, so you do want to be careful about that. But into certain gods that don't have CC immunity, like Cuckoo, Zeus, Poseidon, if you can play her correctly, even go a little bit more hybridy on her just to get that CC off and bring them to your team to kill. She can still be, she can still do things. Just remember, she kind of dies a lot, so you have to play around that. Nine, I'm going to put in A+. I think she is, as a god of herself, her kit does not really mesh in Joust. She has like no getaway. Her getaway is her 3 that dashes her, I think that's very similar to like Merlin, but even worse than that in my opinion. And her ult. So she can be like similar to Rama, where she throws out her ult, but again, you're going to go back to the exact same spot. So you better hope that the enemy team isn't waiting there, which 99% of the time they are, to kill you. So the reason I put her in A+ right now is just because her damage and her int build is super good right now. I think if they nerf her, that she'll probably go down to A, because I don't think she really fits in Joust. But with her build right now, she's She does some fat numbers, I will say. And then Sylvanas, I think, is a very easily S pick. What they did to Sylvanas in Smite 2, they fixed him from Smite 1, in my opinion, in regards to Joust, actually, in Conquest, because he's very good in Conquest, too. He has a mobility issue, which is a good trade-off when you think about what he can do, which is he grabs someone and brings them to you. That's pretty cracked. He has a lot of CC, a lot of knock-up, and a very big knock-up in his ult. He has root, and they made his... they shifted his passive to get even more cooldowns. So if you're on a wave and you're fighting someone, you can throw down your 1 and get all your passive little seeds, and you literally have your 1 back up again, which makes him cracked. What they did in Smite 1 to Smite 2, I think, is that they made his kit easier to hit. I don't know if it's just the engine or they changed his kit to make it easier. In my opinion, when I played Sylvanas in Smite 1, his grab, I just never could grab anyone. In Smite 2, I'm like 2 for 3 on every single grab, even if I don't root them. It seems so much easier to grab in his 3. I don't know if you guys have the same kind of opinion, but in my opinion, I think it is. Maybe I'm better. I don't know. Whatever it is, a lot of people, other people agree, at least that he's better in Smite 2 and Smite 1. What's the biggest thing about him is that he does a lot of damage. The amount of damage that he can pump out, not only in his aspect, but specifically for his form, is crazy. This guy does so much damage. And that's one thing I said about a lot of tanks in Joust, is that having good CC, team synergy, and damage is basically what you're kind of looking for. It kind of makes like tanks better in Joust, historically, and I feel like still currently. So... and that's what he has. He has basically everything except the mobility aspect, but that was fixed in Smite 2 with the fucking easier to hit abilities, in my opinion, and far more damage. So I think he is S pick. And not only that, he's pretty fun. Being able to just grabbing someone, just yanking them, man. Just tell them to get over here. It feels really good too. So I've been playing a lot of Sylvanas, and he's pretty fun, and he's very good. So definitely one of, I'd say, top 3 or 4 tanks right now, support tanks, in my opinion. So there you have it. Again, you can see that most of these gods are going to fall on the A+ and A average side, and then you'll have like 2 in the corners here. Again, I think Sobekson is going to be in his own lane for a while, in my opinion. I think he's just absolutely absurd. So we'll go over to the other tier lists, compare and contrast, and then we'll go ahead and close out this video. All right, here we are. So this is going to be your Open Beta 21 patch, and this is going to be your Open Beta 25 patch, which will close out the year. Wait, did I talk about nut aspect? I don't think I did, but I think her aspect will probably still be in that A+ area, if not maybe top A+ S. I think it's gonna be probably better than nut, but probably still in that same kind of region there, but we'll have to see. Anyways, here it is, the compare and contrast. Right here we got obviously Sobek still being in that same top spot here. Cabragan and Eset have changed again, like the nerfs and stuff, I feel like have really changed them. Still very solid gods, I will say. Hercules is still up there. Aphrodite went down, obviously. Bari's still up there. Apollo went down. Medusa, Agni, and She Blanca are still up there. Obviously, I think Baron still being up there. I think I would have put Baron up here if I realized how good he was. I don't think a lot of people did until the fucking Lifebinder became a thing and people started figuring that out, I guess. Ares, Odin still anti-meta up there. Hoyi, Scylla, Achilles up there. Some new contenders up here. We got Sylvanas. Sylvanas is up here. Eset is down here. Honor is up here again. I think he's pretty underrated right now. I still think he's really good now. I think all the buffs and stuff like that. I can see an argument for top of A+, but still, I think he's probably one of your top 5 hunters in my opinion. Ardio, new god, A+. I can see an argument for low S. Vulcan went down again. A lot of these gods, mobility issues. I think with more gods coming into the game, kind of just counted them. Odin actually went down. That's what it was. So I was thinking I was like messing up here. Odin went down. I just think he's slightly ever so slightly worse. But he still fits that Anti-meta is still very good. Again, Kabrak and all that stuff down here. Luna, and then mainly a lot of things stay here. Nut is here, and that's just because, like I said, her damage is really wicked right now. We'll see how that changes. Aladdin change, I feel, again, I can see an argument for top of A, low A plus in my opinion, but you know, the rework didn't change him too much as I thought it would. Rama's up here. Zeus, Nem, Cuckoo, Jingwei, Ymir, all down here. Oh wait, no, Ymir was already down there, so. And then obviously below, Cerberus sucks and Guan Yu sucks, so. There you have it. There is your comparison. We'll go back. All right, and here is your finalized tier list if you want to take a look at it yourself. So an hour and 5. Once these more gods come in, it's going to be a little bit challenging to do these. I think it's going to take that much longer. Maybe I should just speedrun these more often, but I like going in depth, even though I kind of reiterate myself a lot. But there you go. So here you are with your tier list. Again, I do these every like 4 to 5 patches, just when things start to, you know, change up. New gods get in place. Had enough time to have a proper meta settled, because again, these patches come every 2 weeks, whereas before I would do tier lists, it would be like a month patch would go by. So that's my reasoning for it. If you do like these videos, like, comment, and subscribe. I promise they go a long way. Discord in the description down below if you want to go ahead and join the community. Twitch in the description down below as well. I pretty much go live every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday now in the evening time. So if you want to come out there, follow me, say what's up, all that good stuff if you'd like. That'd be much appreciated. Memberships are open for 99 cents a month and $2.99 a month if you so desire, but obviously not necessary, but very much appreciated. But I think that is everything that I have for you. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching.